So what can make a leftover turkey sandwich even better? I know it's hard, but I think I have the answer today. And we're gonna make it right here so you're ready for the holidays. Welcome to Grow and Preserve. I'm Carter and I'm thrilled you're here today. Let's get started. It's both apple and cranberry season. So today I think we're gonna make an apple cranberry chutney. I bought a bunch of apples the other day when I went out to the orchard and I was gonna make some apple butter, but I think I'd rather have this. My husband is not hugely fond of cranberry sauce, although I am, but I think with the apples and the spices and the jalapenos and everything wonderful we're gonna put in it, I think he's gonna like it. And I think it is going to be delicious for that after Thanksgiving or after Christmas or after whatever sandwich, right? So turkey or ham, anything you wanna do, it would also be great on like a pork tenderloin or a pork chop as well. So this was inspired by the Needy Homesteaders video from 2019. I will link you down to that one. And she did her recipe inspired by I think it was the 2019 edition of Better Homes and Gardens Jams and Jellies. They had one for apple cherry. She did apple cranberry. And she went with a little bit different flavor profile that I'm going to use today. But I think this is going to be wonderful. And I want to address one thing here, is I am changing up the recipe on a water bath canned recipe. The original one, I'm going to be following all of her different levels, all of the different levels from the Better Homes and Gardens recipe, but I'm going to change a key ingredient. They had cherries, I'm using cranberries. So the most important thing when you're water bath canning is the pH level. It needs to be at a safe level so that you don't have anything funky growing in your pantry shelf. So if you look at the pH level of cherries, they're about 3.8. The pH level of cranberries is 2.2 to 2.3. So I feel perfectly safe making that substitution. And then some of the spices I'm going to change out won't affect the pH level at all. So I hope you'll join me today in making this. I think it's not only going to be excellent for those after holiday leftover turkey sandwiches or ham sandwiches, but I think it's also going to make a great hostess gift, a great teacher gift, a great neighbor gift. You know, I always like to have something on hand if a neighbor comes and drops off a gift during holiday season. You know, I can run into my pantry and say, oh, you know, here, I was just about to bring yours over and I have something ready to go. So I actually have a lot of chutneys and jams and jellies prepared for that, but this one I think is particular for the holiday season, and I think that makes it really special. So let's get going today. I have a bunch of apples, I have a bunch of cranberries. In fact, I saw these at Costco, and that really inspired my decision to change from apple butter into this cranberry apple chutney. So we're gonna need onions, we're gonna need peppers. The recipe uses sweet peppers. I'm gonna use a couple of jalapenos along with that as well because we like a little spice to it. I'm going to use some apple pie spice, which is cinnamon and nutmeg, and I'm going to use some ground cloves, but feel free to use any spice you like. You can use cardamom, you could use red pepper flakes, you can use, I think the Needy Homesteader made it a little savory and added some thyme, which also sounds delicious. So let's get going. I am going to start with my apple cider vinegar, so that I can put my apples straight into the pot of vinegar and they won't start turning brown while I'm still trying to get things ready here. So we need 1 cup of apple cider vinegar. Actually, I'm going to bring you down so you can watch everything I do. There we go, that is much better. So I'm going to get a cup of apple cider vinegar into my pot. I do not have one of those apple peeler corer things, so we're going to do it the old-fashioned way with a little bit of help from my little chopping buddy here. This is what I have. You know, I've had it for a while, and quite frankly, I forget to use it. But it seems to work really well. We're going to give it a shot today. I'm also hoping that it will help me when it comes to chopping the onions. As you know, I hate to cry on a YouTube video. In fact, that reminds me, one of my viewers suggested that I light a candle when I'm chopping onions. So don't let me forget to do that. Hopefully that'll help. All right, let's get the apples, which I've just washed. Cut these into manageable pieces, and then I'm just going to peel them with a small paring knife. Cut up the cores. Now, almost, when we were down shopping in the Amish country stores the other day, I almost bought an apple peeler core thing, which probably would have made this much easier, but all I could think was, oh my gosh, where in the world would I store it? And I'm not using it. I love my kitchen gadgets, but you know, there's only so much room, and I have already exceeded that amount of room. So we'll do it this way. All right. All right, I'm just gonna get a small knife here, and we'll see how this goes. That's not bad. Let's see how this is gonna work. Yes. Yes. Perfect. So they'll be about the same size as the cranberries, which I think is good. I know they'll dissolve a lot more, but we'll at least start similarly. So now this is going to require no gelling agent. Both of these have plenty of pectin in them, both the apples and the cranberries, so we don't have to worry about that. The recipe calls for 2 cups of brown sugar. So, you know, we don't eat a whole lot of sugar, so I'm going to do something a little different, which you can do, or you can do brown sugar. I'm sure it would be probably more delicious with brown sugar, but my husband tries not to eat sugar, so I do want to make sure that he can enjoy everything that I make. So I am going to use a combination of stevia and allulose, and then a little molasses just to make it like brown sugar, because that is how you make brown sugar, is molasses and regular sugar. So I'm going to do that, but you feel free to do whatever suits you. When you're looking at sugars that are not sugars, sweeteners I should say, that are not sugars, the thing you really want to take a look at, I have done a good bit of research on this, and the thing you really want to be careful with is whether or not they are heat stable. So there are plenty of sugar substitutes that may be fine in a glass of iced tea, but they are not heat stable, and therefore will change taste and consistency when they're canned. I'm using allulose and stevia today, both of which are heat stable. In fact, there's several recipes starting to come out now for canning with stevia, so I'm just very comfortable with both of them. I have done quite a bit of canning with allulose, but again, sugar is what the recipe calls for. I'm sorry, brown sugar is what the recipe calls for. So you do whatever makes you happy. So it's perhaps more time consuming than having an apple core peeler, but it's not bad. All right, I'm going to keep going on this, and I'll bring you back when my apples are ready and we move on to the next piece of this. We're back. I have 8 cups of apples chopped in here, along with my apple cider vinegar, and took about 8 to 10 medium apples. Mine were all different sizes coming from the orchard, but I would say 8 to 10 medium apples is about what you need. This thing came in handy, although I'm kind of rethinking that apple core or peeler I probably should have bought. Would have made it go much faster. Now we're going to move on to the onion. So I need 1 cup of onion, and because you guys know I always cry when I cut onions, I had a wonderful viewer suggest that I light a candle, and that somehow that will help, so I'm going to do that and use my little chopper. So hopefully I don't cry through the whole thing again. As frustrating as that is, normally it's much more frustrating when you guys are around. All right. So I'm going to put these in big chunks. See what even fits in here. Okay, not bad. Ooh, not the easiest thing to do. Ooh. We came apart here. There we go. All right, just a little bit more. That little piece doesn't look terrific there. So, you know, when you have apple scraps here, the cores and the peels, you could do an apple scrap jelly. You can do an apple vinegar. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do something with them. But we'll see. The part of me that doesn't want to waste anything says you have to do something, but then my time constraints are such that I'm not sure. I'm still tearing up a bit, but it's not as bad. And now it's done. Get the onions in here. And then we need 1.5 cups of cranberries. I may actually go a little higher on the cranberries just because I particularly like them. I might do a little bit heavy on the cranberries because I like them so much. And again, it's not going to raise my pH level. You know, I'm all for rebel canning, if you will, but I do still want to be common sense safe. Okay, so there are my cranberries. And then it also calls for 1 cup of sweet peppers. As I mentioned, I'm kind of using what's left from my gardens and a couple of jalapenos. I may not put that many jalapenos in, but I will do some. So I'm going to get these diced up and in. I don't know that I have a full cup here. Again, that's okay with me too. And we're going to get some spices and some sweetness in here. So chutneys, I know not everyone is familiar with chutneys. Let me pause and show you this for a second. I am a huge fan of chutneys. It's usually a combination of fruit, vegetable, vinegar, and some type of sweetness. And it's big in the South. I don't know if it's big everywhere else, but it's delicious. It's always fabulous on meat, chicken, pork, that kind of thing. It's great on top of like a goat cheese and crackers or salami and crackers. I just think it's one of the best things ever. So I have several of them. So there's my mango chutney. I also have a peach chutney, apricot chutney. Whoops, there you go. And then this is one of my new favorites, I think, my pear chutney. It has been delicious, so I may end up making some more of that at some point. But anyway, it's delicious and I use it all the time. And it is super easy to make a board for entertaining or to take an appetizer to somebody's house for dinner. And as I mentioned, it always makes a great addition to a sandwich. So I hope you'll give them a try. You can make them hot, you know, spicy hot. You can make them sweet, you can make them savory. A lot of them have ginger in them, like crystallized ginger, which I think is delicious. A lot of times they have garlic in them. They always have some form of sweetness in them. I think they're so unusual, and it kind of brings the whole appetizer together instead of just, you know, a meat and cheese board, which is lovely. But then there's this, oh my gosh, just takes it to a different level. So hopefully it'll do the same thing for my turkey sandwich this year. I'm pretty sure it will. This is my last batch of peppers that I brought in from the garden. before our first freeze. Let's see. Going for a cup, so I'm going to get 1 or 2 jalapenos in there. I'm not going to use the seeds. I like a little heat. I don't want to burn my face off. So after the holidays, what do you put on your leftover turkey or ham sandwich? Typically, I will pile on all the cranberry sauce I can fit on there because no one else in my family likes it. And plenty of dressing as well. And I almost think that's better than the main meal itself. My kids would argue if it doesn't involve mashed potatoes and gravy, it can't be nearly as good, but I think it's delish. Gosh. I'll do a couple more here. This is a mildly hot pepper here. Not as hot as a jalapeno. It has a little bit of a kick to it. I believe that on the Needy Homesteader, she used a whole bunch of lunchbox peppers, so she had all different colors. And I'm going to do a small jalapeno just for a little extra heat kick. Oftentimes chutneys will include raisins or dried cranberries. So I was really happy to find something with some fresh cranberries. I'm going to make my own cranberry sauce this year too, and I'll can that. But again, I'm the only one in my family who eats that, so I'm going to see if this is a hit first. And if so, maybe I'll make another batch of this instead, so everybody can enjoy it. Okay, pepper's going in. So now I have in apple cider vinegar, 1 cup, 8 cups of apples, 1 cup of onions, 1.5 to 2 cups of cranberries, 1 cup of diced peppers. Oh, now we get to the really fun part. Let me wash my hands. Okay, the recipe calls for 2 cups of brown sugar. As I told you earlier, I'm going to use allulose and stevia and molasses, but please feel free to use sugar. All right, this is a 1/2 cup measure. This is the allulose. Allulose is relatively new on the scene, but it is used commercially quite a bit. Pomona Pectin has an awful lot of canning recipes with allulose. It is heat stable, and its taste does not change when you heat it. Its properties don't change. It does not have the congealing effects of sugar, but when you use it with Pomona Pectin, that's all accounted for. And even though this is a no pectin recipe because it's a chutney, cranberries and apples both are full of pectin. So I'm really not concerned that I'm going to have any issues there. I'll put in kind of a heaping tablespoon of molasses. Might do just a little bit extra too. I love the taste of molasses. And I love the color of molasses. I would like this to come out, being green and red for the holidays, but of course it's not. It's going to come out brown, but it'll still be delicious. All right, put that there. So there's a little bit of sweetness in that. I'm going to add a little bit of stevia. This is a liquid stevia, which cans absolutely fine. There's a good bit of research on that. Now let's get on to the spices. I am using apple pie spice, which I bought at the Amish store. So it is cinnamon and ground nutmeg. The recipe calls for a teaspoon of cardamom and a teaspoon of cinnamon. That doesn't sound like enough to me at all, but I'm going to use 1 teaspoon of the apple pie spice, or maybe 1.5 teaspoons. And then I'm going to use a 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. Ooh, it smells so good. And then I will adjust this for taste as it cooks down. Oh, it smells so good. Just screams holiday to me. And finally, we need a half teaspoon of salt. Okay, half teaspoon of salt. So now the directions say to bring to a boil and then reduce to a simmer and let it simmer for an hour. The Needy Homesteader ended up simmering it, actually bringing it back to a boil for a little longer than that. So we want to get to a consistency where it's going to gel up on its own, just a little bit, and hold together. So we will see how long that takes, and I will bring you back to take a peek at it. But I will say that it is beautiful right now. As I mentioned, it'll kind of be brown when we're done, but it'll still taste heavenly. And I will taste this as we get closer and adjust all of our seasonings as we need. All right, I'm going to get this on the stove, boiling and then simmering. All right, this is still simmering here. It's been about 15 minutes on simmer, maybe 20 minutes. I wanted to give you a look because it's still just beautiful. So we'll give it a little while longer, let it boil off some of the liquid, and let the cranberries and apples break down a little bit farther, and then we'll give it a taste test. I'll be back with you soon. All right, we are back. It has been simmering for an hour, and it is looking just delicious. I'm not sure that really shows on camera, so I'm sorry about that. It's time for a taste test. I have my jars in the canner, so they are heating up because this is going to be screaming hot when it goes in. So let's take a test. I left all my spices and my stevia out just in case. Oh my gosh. Oh, that is really good. I'm not going to add a thing. Be sure to taste yours and make sure that you're happy with the taste, but wow, that was excellent. Perfect amount of heat from the jalapenos, perfect amount of sweetness for me. Cranberries are great, the apples are great, the onions are really nice in there, and the spices turn out perfectly. So I'm so pleased with that. Make sure that the spices suit your taste. It is, let's see how thick it is. It's pretty thick now, and I think that's about a good consistency to can it up. It's going to cook just a little bit more in the water bath canner. It's only going to process for 10 minutes, so it's a quick one, but you can see how it'll sit on the spoon like that. The Needy Homesteader does some kind of a gelling test with a frozen spoon. I don't know, that's something I don't know about. Imagine all of our jelly and candy makers know about that. So feel free to do it that way for sure. But that's just gorgeous. All right, I'm going to get the lids ready and get my setup ready and make sure that I have you in a position where you can see what I'm doing. And then we'll get started jarring this up. I'm going to put it in some 4-ounce jars for eating at home and for, when it's just my husband and I here. And then some 8-ounce jars for parties, gift giving, whatever we may need. I may send some home with my son. And man, I'm excited about this one. So I'll be right back and we'll get started. Okay, I think you're going to be able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to start getting some hot jars out. I don't remember, honestly, how much she said this would make, and I think she used a couple of different jar sizes as well. So we will see. I have a ton of jars in here because my canner is like monstrous, right? So I'm going to need them to keep the jars from tipping over anyway, so I just go ahead and put a bunch in. It's a little tight in there. So we'll do a few of these. Okay, we'll get started with this. I'm going to use a scooper to get this out in reasonable little batches. This is a 1/3 cup scooper, so I shouldn't be too far off. Or I could be. Let's see. 1/2 inch headspace. That's actually, ow, shoot. Stove is hot. A little too much. Okay, that's better. So we'll go ahead. I'll just put 1 scoop in each, and then we'll come back and add to it if we need to. I'm going to debubble these, of course. So I have just some white vinegar and a paper towel. We will just run it, oh, hot jars. Run it over the rim here. Make sure nothing is going to get in the way of a seal. As you can see, I had, plenty of stuff on there because we know I'm messy. It smells so good in my house, I can't even tell you. It's like already the holidays, and there's not even a turkey baking. Okay. All right. Now, so I have new lids, of course. Ring's ready to go. So I'm going to put this on till it catches, and then just a smidge further. These jars are really hot. There we go, just a smidge further. So it's very important, and I know that this is common sense, but I'm going to say it anyway. It is very important to make sure that your jars are the same temperature as what you're going to put in them, and then that your water bath canner or your pressure canner, if you're pressure canning something, is also the same temperature. Otherwise, you could end up with jars breaking. You certainly don't want that. Like something popped. Everything's still up, so nothing has formed a seal when I don't want it to seal. Okay, so I'm going to get these in the water and bring out another batch of jars. Let me hold this up for you to see it. Get a good shot of that. It's really pretty. It's not as brown as I expected it to be. It's really pretty. Now, it may be brown when it comes out of the canner, but we'll see. Do this a little more gracefully. Oops, a mess. Oops, that one's too full. It's okay. All right. Okay, these look really quite good to me. So let me get those cleaned up. So while you're wiping these rims, you also want to be checking for any imperfections in the rim, any cracks in the glass, anything. Check for anything that could prevent a seal. Teflon fingers when it came to canning. I've become a heat wimp now these days. Okay, so I have 4 half pints and 5 4-ounce jars in there, and we're going to bring those up to a boil and then let them process for 10 minutes. Then turn off the heat, take off the lid, and let them sit there for 5 minutes, and then we'll bring them out together. All right, we're ready to go. I swear the best part about water bath canning, jams and jellies and chutneys and things, and salsas, is how quickly they get done. So, let's take these out and take, whoops, there you go. Take a look. Isn't that pretty? So I want you to stay tuned now, because it'll be tomorrow for me. It'll be in just a minute or so for you. We are going to make something with this, and I'll show you how I would use it. And I think it's going to be delicious. I may even make my son taste it on camera. We'll see if he's up for that or not. It's just so, I'll get you a colorful side. Isn't that pretty? I don't know. Maybe it's a look only a canner could love, I guess. I had my husband taste the last couple little bites that were left in the pot, and he loved it. So I count that as a huge win, because he is not a fan of cranberry sauce. So I think that is fantastic. All right, we're all out of the canner, wrapped up for today. I'll be back in just a second for you with something fabulous we're gonna make with this. Everything is sealing. We're looking great. Okay, I told you I'd be back in just a second. We made the apple cranberry chutney yesterday, and I wanted to show you how it's set up. No pectin or anything. It just set up using the allulose, did not cause a problem. It didn't need the sugar to set up. So I wanted to do a taste test today. I am fortunate enough to have my son with me, so he's gonna taste a sandwich as well. So I'm gonna bring you down here, and then I'm gonna make a couple sandwiches, and we'll taste them, and we'll see what we think. All right, let's make a couple of sandwiches. I've got one for my son Max, who's gonna tell me what he wants on his, and I've got one for me on my not nearly as much fun bread. So Max has sourdough bread. So do you want mayo?
Yeah, mayo, lettuce, chicken, and the chutney, please.
Okay, good enough. So I have chicken because there was no turkey to be found at Costco. And in fact, they said they weren't sure exactly when or if they would get turkey in for Thanksgiving. So that was a little shocking to me. So we'll see. This is my low-carb, grain-free bread. So not nearly as much fun as a sourdough, but that is what I eat. All right, and you said lettuce, right?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm gonna put some lettuce. This is lettuce fresh from the garden. Now let's see, let's put the lettuce on this side so I can put the chutney on that side. Oh, you like a lot of lettuce.
Yeah, that works.
All right, and then I'm gonna put the chutney. Chutney on this side. This is really good. I had a little taste test. It's gonna be messy, I can guarantee you that. So Max, I have in here some jalapenos, onions, cranberries, apples. It's a little sweet, a little spicy.
That sounds good. I'm excited.
I think you're gonna like it. All right, let's put that over there. And we'll go for some chicken. Whoops, I guess I need to leave some for myself, don't I? Okay, Need a napkin. Add it out. All right, I'm gonna put these together and then we'll bring you up and show you the live taste test. It's looking pretty good, Max.
Yeah. I might get to wash my hands.
Yeah.
Yes, where's your sandwich?
Okay, that's what Max's looks like. And there's mine. Okay, so think about that leftover holiday turkey and how good your sandwich could be. It would be better if we had dressing to go on it, I'm sure. However, we're gonna give this a shot. I'll bring you right up. Okay, we're back. This is my son, Max. I think he's looking forward to the sandwich, but we'll see. All right, well, you go for it. You go first.
Okay.
And if you think it's good, I'll try mine.
Sounds good.
It's good?
That's really good.
Ooh, yay. My turn.
Oh, making a mess.
Yep. He's right. That's really good. What else would you put that on? Like pork tenderloin or something?
Yeah, I think it would be good with pork.
Yeah, I think so too. Cranberries, apples.
I think the only thing I wouldn't pair it with would be beef.
No beef? Okay.
Yeah. Everything else, so
Yeah.
fantastic.
So, works with chicken. Clearly it's going to work with turkey. And if we had some dressing to put on here too, it'd be extra special. Anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I hope that you will go make this and enjoy the holiday season. Pass it out to friends and family. Thank you so much for being here. And for Max being here. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Okay.
All right, this is really good.
It is good, isn't it?